Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the Podcast Mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I am, of course, your host with the most, Phil Better, and today's guest is an OG, brick-and-mortar style entrepreneur. He was raised in the back rooms of his parents' business in the middle of the Midwest, where there wasn't a lot of digital entrepreneurship going on, but he became obsessed with entrepreneurialism. Wow, I can't speak today. You know, that's what happens when you batch your podcast. But here, let's try that again. He was raised in the back rooms of his family's small business. Our guest became obsessed with the brick-and-mortar entrepreneurialism of the Midwest and the ideals of the American small business owner. That obsession would blossom into a career as a media and marketing consultant at the dawn of online videos. After stretching his legs in the corporate world for nearly a decade, he returned to his entrepreneurial passions, founding the growth strategy firm GroHaus in 2020, where a lot of people started, and I started myself in the entrepreneurial world. GroHaus fills the gap between DIY marketing and hiring an expensive full-service marketing agency. Their hands-on coaching, consulting, and fractional services provide hyper-personalized engagement that meet their clients' needs wherever they are in their entrepreneurial journey. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Drew Donaldson to the podcast. Drew?
Phil, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. I wish I read that properly the first time, but I
really should take out that word because that's a mouthful of a word.
That's a $10 word for a $5 show. Like I appreciate that big word, but like when you're a podcaster, the words are sometimes your enemies. But Drew, I'm so interested to learn more about you. Could you just do a quick intro to my audience so they get to know you from your own words?
Sure. So like you said, I really grew up in small business America. Both my parents were small business owners. And I really got to front row seats to not only their business, but businesses that family members ran, friends ran, because if you know anything about small business owners, we love to cluster, right? So that really became my upbringing. Everybody else, was thinking about careers after college. I was thinking about what business I was going to start. Much to the chagrin of my mom, who owns a business, but did not want me to go into business for myself. She wanted me to get the nice, stable 401k job. And at the time I graduated, it was really the dawn of business video on YouTube. We were kind of in that 2009, 2010 area where people were starting to invest in this. I was coming out of film school, and the one thing I knew how to do, the one thing I could do consistently was produce things for no money. Like bottom dollar, and I would make them look great. I have multiple festival, entries and festival winners and all that kind of fun stuff to my name. And so that's what I did. I went out and I said, listen, I can help you shoot video that is going to make your business look awesome. And this is well before TikTok or Reels or anything. So we're just on YouTube and then Facebook kind of a little bit. So I did that, and I built a pretty decent business doing it. We built kind of a studio. We shot a lot of content. Our biggest client during those years was Campbell Soup. We shot an ad for them. That actually featured two of my cousins in it, which is cool. And the bummer is I heard it actually got some airtime in but not in my market. So I never got to see that commercial on air. But I continued down that road, and I eventually kind of had a reputation of building studios. And that's what I became really good at. So I took, this kind of model of like scrapping around shooting these small videos for businesses. I started leveraging that in the nonprofit and corporate world. And so that was what I did in corporate America for a while. Is I would come in, I would set up a studio, and I would get the heck out. So that was kind of my offering as a consultant. And after my last gig, I was working for a client that I just really didn't care for. I didn't like the work I was doing. I didn't like really anything about the experience of what my day-to-day looked like anymore. And I decided it's time to make a change. So what I tried to do was create this sweet spot between the agencies that are often too overpowered and too overpriced to work with small businesses, and the e-courses and kind of bad coaching programs that really just are run by people that just want to sell something on demand and don't actually want to get into someone's business and help them. They just want the
money.
Give me $10,000 and then here's the course and you figure it out. And I was like, there has to be something in between those two. And so that's what GroHaus is. GroHaus really does solve for that. So instead of us just giving you a course, we have no course. There is no course. You come in and work with us personally, and we guide you through your journey, not just a journey or some journey I dreamed up for all my clients. It's your business, your journey, and we just help you through it.
I love that. I love that you're in that place where you're helping individual businesses with like a full-flown marketing agency, going in, taking care of the business, but at like a fraction of the price.
Well, it's just the way we do it is that we don't try to come in guns blazing and give you everything you could ever want or need. It's like, you don't need that. What you need is really specific help at really specific points of time in a really specific way. So this week, it might be help editing a video that you're going to put up on TikTok for a lead ad. Next week, it might be restructuring a landing page on your website. When small business needs are much more variant than big business needs. It's easy for a big business to go and hire a marketing agency because, one, they have the capital, and two, they have a consistent demand. They built up like, okay, yeah, we know we're going to need to create 400 pieces of content this year, and we know we're going to need to run ads on these 6 platforms. And because they already know that, it's very easy to sign on the dotted line for a 12-month commitment. Small business owners don't have that luxury. So that's why we've positioned everything to be month to month. You stay with us as long as you want. We're more than happy to have you, while still providing the entire suite of services that a big agency would be able to provide, just not all at once.
And I'm guessing this came from obviously your upbringing with small businesses, how they were unsupported when you see your mom, your dad, your cousins, and all of them having their small businesses not being helped. And you're like, I can do this. I can be that person.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, it was the kind of thing that as I got more into this world, I became not just the tech support person at Thanksgiving, but the marketing support person. Like, I would get the questions like, do I need to be on Facebook? And I'm like, well, it depends. Kind of big question.
I love
what
that.
What are you going on there for?
I love when podcasters ask that. Like, should I be on YouTube? Not necessarily, but if you want some extra money, yes.
So it's one of those things that, like, I would just kind of chip in. And what I realized was, like, there's no one to help these people. There's just no one. No one wants the charge to do it, right? Everybody wants their money. Oh, there's plenty of marketing agencies that will, sell you the moon and then deliver nothing. But there's no one that actually wants to, like, help them and is willing to take a pay cut essentially to do it. And that was the biggest thing that people told me when I was starting, is they're like, you'll never make money. There's no way to make this profitable. Guess what? We're very profitable. Like, there is a way to make it happen. You just need to have the vision of, we're not creating a business just to count our money. We're creating a business to help other people grow. And when you shift your perspective on that, it unlocks a whole world of possibility and a way of providing service that, I mean, I've been doing this business for 3 years now. I've not seen anyone come close to what we provide, because I really, truly believe it's not a priority for a lot of marketers. They want the quick money. They don't want to deal with clients. They don't want to deal with people. I like people. I like dealing with people. So
I'm glad you're here, because sometimes I have a problem dealing with people. I still love helping people. So that's why I do this show. It's a little less involved into my world. And I don't have to deal with so many people, just the person in front of me. So life is a little better. So you started GroHaus to help small businesses. What is one of the big things you see small businesses face when it comes to the marketing that you guys can help solve?
So I think the biggest thing is the kind of marketing confusion or shotgun approach to marketing. I mean, we all know what it is. It's going into Facebook and warming up that credit card and being like, this is going to be the one. And you play your marketing like you're going to a casino, like you're putting money in a slot machine. Like, all right, ad, weekend special, Clams Casino, right? And like, that's an ad. I'm in, they told me to go in Canva and put words on an image. Okay, I did that. And I loaded in and I put $50 on it. And I'm going to let it run for a week. And then a week later, nothing happens. And they go, oh, Facebook's a scam, right? And then the very next week, they're on TikTok doing the same thing. Or they're on Google pay-per-click. And they never, because they don't have any direction, they don't have any strategy behind their marketing, all they're doing is going to YouTube University and kind of picking up these little bits and pieces of what, gurus are telling them to do. So like half of my job in the first like couple weeks of working with a client is undoing guru damage. It's like, I know he said that, but he makes like 10 times what you're making. Like he can do that. Gary Vee is my favorite person in the world to pick on because he's a brilliant man. Mm-hmm. But 12 pieces of content a day for a small business owner who is standing in their shop all day long serving customers is just not feasible. Like, I don't care how you dice your day. Now, if you're 21 and just starting out, you better be posting that much content. Like, you have nothing but time. Yeah. Once you have an established business, I don't know where he's getting all this time to shoot and edit and produce content, especially if you're not hiring other people to do it, which is the other part that he never really talks about, which is he pays people to do all this.
He has
That's
a team
why he's able to create something.
He has a team of 21 people that just focus on his brand, not even the company's brand, just his brand. So
he has obviously the entire like NBC Studio City team doing all of his stuff. So I mean, it's just one of those things that like people hear that and they hear from other gurus that, oh, you gotta do this or you gotta do that. And because they don't have the background of like, why do webinars work? In what capacity does webinars work? How much does it cost to get a registered attendee for that webinar? Like people are shocked when I say, yeah, if you calculate based on your show up rate, you're probably going to pay about $70 a head. They look at me like, $70 a head? I'm like, yeah. They're like, well, I can't afford that. I'm like, I know. I don't know why you're running a webinar. Like, it's a terrible strategy.
Oh,
like,
I love that.
It's not for you. There's plenty of other strategies, but because no one has the background, they don't have the context that we marketers have. They make these mistakes over and over again. And that's why you hear so many people think marketing is a scam or that everybody in marketing is just trying to sell them snake oil. It's just the nature of the business. You have really good marketers who are good at one thing and they go and try to turn it into a course and they can't replicate the results because the people they're helping don't have the right context to execute those courses.
Ooh, I like that. I like that kind of specific that these small business owners or any business owner may not have the like wealth of knowledge. Like I'm pretty sure if you went into a business, you probably could just create an amazing marketing program. You already have for a lot of these different businesses, but a business owner won't be able to execute on it because they don't have your expertise, your knowledge that you spent years crafting.
And that was the first thing I learned. I mean, version 1 of GroHaus was just like, I just minified what I was doing as a consultant, which essentially was creating PowerPoint decks and saying, this is what you need to do. And then hoping to get sign off from the higher ups and actually get it done, which if you've ever spent any time in corporate America, rarely actually happens. You do a lot of decks, very little gets done, and then you call it a day. So like, when I first brought this to clients and I said, all right, so I'm going to create the entire marketing program. I had this olive oil shop. All he does is olive oil. He's this little Italian guy and he makes really good product. He gets handcrafted olive oil. He imports it from Italy. Like it's really, really quality stuff. And he has a presence. Like people know him, but he doesn't have enough business. He needs to grow this business. And so I say, yeah, so here's the marketing plan we're going to put together for you. I'm going to teach you how to execute it. I'm going to show you how to hold the camera and all this stuff and so on and so forth. And he just looks at me and he goes, I'm not going to be able to do any of this. And I go, no, I'm going to help you. He's like, no, you don't understand it. I can't do this. Like I cannot physically wrap my head around how I'm going to do any of this. And I'm too old to learn it. And that really stuck with me. And I was like, I think that if it's not just enough to give people a paddle, you need to sit in the canoe with them. Like that's really what the small business owner needs is someone to sit with them and not just say, well, now you need to do this, and now you need to do this, but actually do it with them because that's what's going to give them the confidence that, oh yeah, I can do this. So I do this with like when I'm teaching someone how to use ad platforms, we sit together and we do it. Within a couple of weeks, I will have someone who is an admitted like technophobe going in there and adjusting their campaigns, because it's just taking the time to work with them and get them comfortable with it. That's all it really takes. But it's the thing that it's not it's just not it wasn't a focus for me starting out.
And I like how you actually teach them how to use the platform so that they can then go off and deal with it themselves later on and not rely on these agencies until they actually need to.
Yeah, it's all about empowerment. I mean, if I can get you to feel confident in your marketing, you're going to do so much better at it, because you're not going to pull your ad after 4 days. You're going to give it time to start cooking, to start producing leads for you. You're going to understand that when we go and, program an ad that's going to spend $500 in 10 days, that you're pretty confident that ad is going to work, or if not work, give you some really valuable detail that you're going to be able to apply to your next campaign. And so it's that confidence that you get when they do have the context. I mean, that's worth all the money in the world to them, because that's the thing that's missing. And once they go through the program, I mean, I've had clients that I've met with every single week, and they get to a place and they kind of go on like a month-to-month retainer where we're only seeing each other once every 30 days, and they do great. It's just because they were just missing a couple pieces. They just needed a couple pieces of the puzzle. And then once you gave it to them and you showed them how they all fit together, they're good. Because marketing isn't nearly as hard as all of us marketers make it out to be. It's just complicated. It's complicated. You got to know a lot of stuff to do it, but it's not hard to do. Anyone can do it.
So here's my question. Since we focus on people who are just jumping into this entrepreneurial world of the digital space that we have, what advice would you have for them, or a tip you would have for them to either start their marketing journey or leverage marketing properly?
So it's one thing, and it's your offer. It's, Alex Ramosi has talked about this ad nauseum. Russell Brunson has talked about this ad nauseum. Everybody dating back 20 years in the copywriting industry, in every copywriting book you read, it's all about the offer. And that is the one thing no one focuses on. Everybody wants to be the Cheesecake Factory with a menu of services that covers every possible thing, instead of narrowing your focus onto one specific niche, taking an angle on that niche, and then crafting an offer that just crushes it just for that group. You can build all your other offers eventually, but focus on that one thing, the thing you do best, the problem you can solve, the biggest problem you can solve. Craft an offer around that problem. And that's what you market. And that's the only thing you market. And you follow that process until you have something hit. As soon as you start getting buyers for an offer, that's the best validation in the world that you're on the right track. And then worry about your Facebook profile content, and then worry about your blog and your videos and all of that. Everything flows downstream from your core offer. Until you have that, nothing else you do in marketing matters. It really doesn't. And people look at me like, well, I need like a Facebook page. No. Set up a TikTok ad account, record a 60-second video, and push it out there. And if you get a response, if people fill out the lead form and tell you, yes, they raise their hand, they say, yeah, that is what I want, you're not going to have any problems. Like, then you're going to know it works. Great. Now let's build the landing page. Let's take this 60-second video and turn it into a landing page and put a call to action on it. I mean, the focus on the offer is the closest thing to an easy button for marketing I've ever found, but it's the thing that no one attacks head on. They always try all the other things first. And I think it's because it's hard. It's one of the harder things to do in marketing, is to conceptualize of like, all right, how do I take all these things I do and the pain my market's feeling and put those together into something that just like makes people just ravenous to buy what I sell. So I think that's the biggest thing I could tell people, is start there. Don't give up on that until you see profit. And then once you see profit, grow your marketing from that core offer, not the other way around.
Oh, I love that. And it's a great piece of advice for myself too. I have to remember to stay into that small thing before I start adding all these pluses to the agency that I run. In the 2-3 years that you've been running GroHaus, and maybe we can include all the years beforehand, is there a moment or a memory that either you helped a client get, or that you were able to achieve yourself, like a goal you were able to achieve, that you care to share with us?
Yeah. So I'm actually in the process of putting a landing page up with this story because it's not my biggest win by a long shot. Like, we can talk biggest wins all day, but this one was a meaningful win because the client came to me with literally $100 in her pocket. And she was a referral from another client. And she came in and she told me her business. And I said, okay, here's what you should do. You should do this, 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 this. And I just thought that was going to be it. And she just said, how can we work together? Like, how can you help me? Because I can't do this. I need help.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, here's what I'm charging. And she's like, I don't have that. I was like, well, what do you have? She's like, I have $100. And I was like, I will work with that. Like, I will take your $100 and I will help you do something with it. And it was a long journey. She started from absolutely nothing. She had no clients, no business, no website, no Google My Business, nothing. Very zero, very beginning, right? All she had was a passion for what she did and a vision for what she wanted this vision to be. And 2 years, it took us 2 years, but January of this year, she came onto one of our group sessions and she announced to the group that she's finally able to pay all of her family's bills with the business.
Holy shit.
Then the month later, she had 150% revenue growth. And now she's like, I can take a vacation. like this is crazy. Like, this, it actually works. But it's not, like I said, it's not my biggest win. It's not my fastest win, but it's the most meaningful because it reminds me that the reason I do this business is not to help enrich some mega corporation, which is what I spent far too much time doing. It's to help that person pay for a better school for their kid, or take their family on a vacation, or save more money for retirement. It's making changes in real people's lives. And that's why I do what I do, because I get to see on a day-to-day basis how the work I do and the help I put out there returns, and in such a meaningful and just voluminous way, where like almost every week I'm getting something about, like, client will be like, I nailed that pitch, I got the contract. I'll be like, that's awesome. Like, or they'll come in and they'll say, my ad's doing great, I got 14 leads over the weekend. I'm like, that's phenomenal, right? So like, it's the biggest dopamine high in the world to realize that the work you did changed somebody's life. I can't explain it any other way. So that's really what keeps me going in this, is that just instant gratification of helping people and seeing it, and really seeing it in a meaningful way.
Oh, I'm sorry. That is just the best story. That it lets my listeners know that it can take time, but in like 2 years, the whole world can shift for you. And then a month later, you're like you said, 150 or 105% increase in revenue.
150% increase in revenue.
That is insane. Not even big corporation.
I know. And it's because she put in the effort. She put in the work. She showed up to the sessions. She worked the process. She crafted an offer. She ran ads. She invested. She took risky gambles. There was a couple months where she's like, I can't pay you for a couple months because I have to save up some money for the campaign I want to run at the winter. And I was like, all right, that's fine. She took off a couple months, comes back December. She's like, I'm ready to go. Like, let's do this thing. Put the ad out. And then, I remember her calling me. And she's a real character. And if you ever join our community, she is just a bright spot. But we get on this call and she goes, yeah, so I'm booking work, but I'm concerned that's just, we're not booking enough. And I was like, like how many people are coming through? She's like, well, I had 5 come through today. I was like, you had 5 leads come through today? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, how many of those bought? She's like, oh, all of them bought. And I was like, you don't have any problems. Like, she had already gotten over the happiness of like, holy cow, it's working. And she was already like, all right, what's the next step? How can we make this even more? And that's the kind of tenacity. That's why she was able to stick with it for 2 years, even though she had to, take side jobs and do other stuff to supplement her income while we were in the growing phases of this. She had that, it's as they say now, that dog in her. Like, she just was not going to give up on this dream, and she saw it through all to the end.
Oh, I love that. That is, if that's not the best testimonial for you, this lady is like your preacher. because that is amazing. 2 years working with you, and she was able in like, oh, I am so excited for her. I don't even know her. I would love to interview her simply to talk about her story.
Oh yeah.
But we are coming to the spark question. 30 minutes is not enough time, but I can't do hour-long shows anymore because I'm too old for that. I don't have enough time in the day.
You look younger than me.
I'm 37. Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm old. Yeah,
you're barely older than me.
I'm still older. Barely. I'm an old man.
A mouse's whisper.
It's just, I love talking with so many people. An hour-long conversation limits how many people I can talk to and learn so much from. So, but I will have you on again because I've been enjoying talking with you. I want to hear more about your stories and successes that you've had. But we're getting to the spark question of the show, which is from Seek Discomfort. This you can ask your friends and families or strangers, because strangers are just friends you haven't met yet. If you could never fail at anything ever again, what would you do?
So I have to pick one thing that I would never fail at, or I'm just never going to fail.
If you pick, so if you can do anything and not worry about failing, what's the one thing you would want to try to do?
Oh, affiliate marketing. I know that sounds really cheesy, but affiliate, I mean, the dream is great, right? Oh, I'd sit in my pajamas all day and I don't have to do anything and I just make money. Like, yeah, if I couldn't fail, I would do that. I would do the whole digital nomad thing. Like I would, I think that's where I would go, because it's just like money equals time, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you take the risk of failure off the table, then just do the thing that's going to suck up the least amount of your time and make the most amount of money, because then you get the best of both worlds. You have the ability to do all the things you really want to do and not have to worry about how you're going to pay for it. So I would say that. I mean, that might be more practical than they were hoping for, but I think that's it. Maybe the other thing is I'd beat Magnus in chess. I would do that, because that would get me some press.
That certainly would get you a little bit of press, I think.
With a niche audience.
Very niche audience, but hell, they are dedicated audience members, so that is huge. And you definitely would probably end up on MSNBC for sure. Drew, we're coming to the end of the episode. I'm going to jump off stage here. I want you to let my audience know how they can work with you if they're budding a small business, or they know a small business owner that needs some help with their marketing and can't afford all those big time services. And since you've already helped with your one story, I want you to help more people with through my podcast. So the floor, sir, is yours.
Absolutely. So if you are a service-based small business and you are struggling to grow, maybe your ads aren't working, maybe you just need kind of that direction I was talking about earlier, and knowing what to do next and where you should be putting your money, I invite you to join us over at GroHaus.org. We have plans that really fit any budget, whether you're just starting out and you have only $100 in your pocket, or you're ready to really scale this and invest in one-on-one coaching or done-for-you services. We can handle it all. So GroHaus.org, it's GROHAUS, just like the sign says, .org. And we look forward to seeing you there.
Awesome. Drew, I can't thank you enough for being on the show and sharing your story with us, because I think that is the best testimonial I have ever heard and best memory I've ever heard from someone on this show. So I want to thank you so much for being here today. Thank
you so much for having me. It was a true pleasure, Phil.
To my audience, of course, the show notes down below will have all the links to connect with Drew, GroHaus, and there's probably going to be a link to join his community there too, because you should be joining that community. And I want to thank you all for listening, and remember to always invest in yourself.